Hey guys, this is the I Can Speak To podcast where everyone can speak. We just speak in different ways. I'm your host, Portia B. So the I Can Speak To podcast is formulated from my own opinions and do not represent the opinions or ideas of anyone else. So guys, we're going to get right into the episode this week, which I decided to call the call to act. So we're going to be talking about how to teach and help your children support and love others. So parents, listeners, friends, and families, I have some different tips I'm going to go over and just have a discussion with you guys, and also recommend some books at the end of this episode. So we're all aware of the current events right now that's going on in the world. We've had the death of George Floyd, the death of Breonna Taylor, the death of Elijah McClain, just to speak on a few. And we know that the Black Lives Matter movement is very prominent in society right now. And we also are aware that there's been several injustices, and a lot of people are experiencing police brutality right now. And I don't know about you, but it's been very disheartening lately for me. I've just been trying to stay very positive and encouraged by the things that I do see, and people actually standing in solidarity together for the Black Lives Matter movement. But because I am an educator, I do want to talk to you guys about what the Black Lives Matter movement means. And I saw a post on Instagram that I thought really summed it up well, and I want to share it with you because not everyone follows me on Instagram. So basically, Black Lives Matter never said only Black Lives Matter. Everyone knows that all lives matter, and we know that Black lives are in danger right now, and honestly they always have been. So right now, it's important for people to show their support with the Black Lives Matter movement, just to show that our lives are significant, and they matter just as anyone else's life does. So as I was saying, I truly believe that the Black Lives Matter movement is important and significant. And it's like I said, it's important to be informed about everything that's going on right now in our world, but also sometimes it can be overwhelming mentally, and it's kind of a catch-22 because you want to be informed, but at the same time it's like, should I watch everything? Should I watch video clips? Should I look at every article that I see? And I think that you have to have a balance between the two of making choices and make sure that you protect your mind and your heart, but you're also still fully aware of what's going on and what you can do to make an impact, make change, and take action. So we're going to be talking about some ways that you can help your children do this. So teaching your kids to take action, because we don't want children to learn silence. This doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help the future generation at all. We want to teach children to help others in need. So I have some top points I want to discuss with you guys to talk about how we can improve that with our kids and how to teach them how to take that action. So first of all, I believe that it starts at home with the family. When you have a child, you are the first person they look to. You model for them. They look at what you do. They look at how you speak. They hear what you speak, and they usually model that from the example that has been given to them. So when you're starting at home with the family, we can show children when people work together, there are positive results. So a small example would be having your child set a table for dinner with you, or helping them or allowing them to make choices about what ingredients to use to cook dinner, cleaning up toys, helping guide them through those choices, and making choices together allows them to see how the help of others is important, and it allows us to thrive. So even with a child who is nonverbal or non-mobile, using eye gaze to help make choices as well, or using hand over hand to guide your child as well. So we want to teach it's important to serve and it's important to help. So some other things I was just wanting to discuss is modeling helping others to your children. So that could be you volunteering with your child, or cleaning up a beach, cleaning up your city, things of that nature, or making small donations, planting a garden for a community, whatever it may be, any way that you can show them how you're modeling to help others. Children are adapt, like I said before, to following the behaviors of adults around them. So they're going to most likely take on the same things that you are trying to do as well. So they're going to follow you. And you're showing them the footsteps that they need to follow. So I think it's important to remember that. Secondly, teach children to be observant of the world. So pointing out and talking to them about different things, sparking up conversations, getting their minds turning. So even when you're driving around, pointing to certain things outside and talking to them about it, so they're observant of what's going on around them, and they're just not having tunnel vision of what's in front of them, but they're aware of the people around them. They're aware of the events that are going on, anything, objects that they might see. I think all of these things are good to help your child just be observant and pay attention to the world around them. We also can do this by practicing bridging the gap. So what I mean by that is taking children out of their natural habitats. So taking them out of the home, or taking them out of their comfort zone, I should say. That's a better example of what I'm trying to explain. So I like to call this cultural play dates. So creating and attending cultural play dates with other people that look different than your children, inviting them to hang out with some of their peers, or, as an adult, you come across different people and you become friends with them, and some of them you have similar interests with, and some of them you don't. They have different opinions, they have different lifestyles, they have different views. But I think it's important for children to play with others who live differently than them, play with different things, talk different than them. I think it's important because they can observe that person and learn from that person. They can also see that everywhere they go is not going to be the same as their life at home. I kind of already mentioned this, but again, invite or attend dinners with families who look or act differently than yours. I just think that's really important, because I think that the only way that we are able to bridge the gap that is obviously here in our society is by putting ourselves in uncomfortable situations. And what I mean by uncomfortable is you may be somewhere where you may be that only person with that specific ethnicity or race. But allowing yourself to indulge in different conversations with people, eating different foods, experiencing different cultures besides your own, because that's the only way that we can build relationships together and build diverse communities. We have to be uncomfortable sometimes to learn about other people. So I also wanted to talk about reading to learn new experiences. Again, learn about different cultures, ethnicities, and walks of life. I personally love reading. I probably purchased more books than I'm going to actually read in my lifetime, but I love reading to children too, because books, I'm going to talk more about this later too, but books have different experiences for children. It's like they take them to a completely, I wanted to say catapult, but it's like they catapult to a completely different world when they're reading a book. It provides graphics, different images, and different ways of speaking language for children to learn about. And you can use so many different expressions when you read to children. But I think that making good book choices to diversify is very important. And I think this is important to say because I've seen, a lot on social media, people saying things like, I don't see color, or, I don't believe that there's color. Like, we're all human. And yes, we are all human. But let's avoid the I see no color pandemic, because we want children to see color. And that's not a negative thing if a child sees that another person is a different color from them. Like, if they don't know that people are different from them, they can't learn about the differences. A child has to recognize that people are different so that they can learn from them, and they can learn to love them despite their differences, and also appreciate those differences. I personally, I remember when I was in elementary school, she was actually one of my best friends, and her name, I don't know, should I say her name? I'll say her name. It was Yesenia. And she was Mexican, and she was my best friend, and it was so much fun for me to learn about her culture. And she taught me some of my first words in Spanish, and it was just really cool to have that experience with her and learn something from her. And she learned things about me and who I was as well, and it was really just cool to have that interaction with somebody who was different from me. And I began to appreciate more about her culture because she was my friend. So that's my whole point of saying, like, let's not say that we don't see color. I think it is important to see color, again, so we can appreciate those differences in others. So when you're reading to your child, or you're picking books to read to your child, if you're at a bookstore, if you're online, a lot of people are shopping online right now, obviously. So how can you help them learn this way? Have you chosen books that show people who look different than them? Have you chosen books that might have a child that has a disability, a child that has darker skin, a child that has lighter skin? I think that those can also spark conversations, which is completely the reason why I decided to do this podcast, was to help promote language and communication. There's so many books with diversity that can help you start those conversations with your child, and teaching them as, like, Mom, this person looks different than me. Like, why do they look different? And saying it's okay that someone looks different from you. It's okay that they have a different religion. It's okay if they have a different culture. They still have value, and you can learn about those people. You can become friends with those people. You can find common ground with some of those people. So you have to learn how you can talk to your child about those things in a way that they can understand, and help support the differences in people. So I plan on curating a list of books that support diversity and teach children the importance and value of life. I did initially do another list, and I guess I can share it now. I put it on the Instagram page of just some different authors that I found, African-American authors that I thought that their books were really good just to show diversity, and I'll read them out loud right now. So the first one is called I Didn't Ask to Be Creative by Dontavious Pittman. Second one is Amani's Moon by Janae Brown Wood. The third one is Skin Like Mine by Latasha M. Perry. The fourth one is I'm Gonna Push Through by Jasmine Wright. The fifth one is Rolling Through Life with Mommy, which I think this one is really good, by Talisha, and her last name is really hard to pronounce, Talisha Grizib. I think that's right. But again, it's on my Instagram page for the I Can Speak To podcast, so you can actually look at the art and see the author's names listed. And the last one is called Mama, Can I Sleep With You Tonight? Helping Children Cope with the Impact of COVID-19 by Jenny Dela Cruz. So check those out and look at the pictures I posted on the Instagram page for that. So last but not least, and I think this is the most important, extra tips. Teach your children to not be a bystander. If they see a friend or someone who needs help, inform or ask an adult that they trust for help. Children who are nonverbal, or even children who are verbal, remember to teach your child the signs to communicate help to you. Teach your children to use their strengths to be a voice for others who may not be able to speak, or children who don't have the confidence to stand up for themselves. Have your children learn to use their strengths to help others. So the activity of the day that I'll have, I'm going to be posting a video sometime this week of me reading one of the books that I had just mentioned and said to you guys, and what I posted on the Instagram page. I haven't decided which one yet, but you will have the video coming very soon, and I will be reading that and just talking about how I think the book can help children and which ways you can use parts of the book just to have more conversations, open conversations with your children. And of course, we have our quote of the day, which is, "Our job is to love others without stopping to inquire whether or not they are worthy." And I love this quote, so I'm going to say it again. Our job is to love others without stopping to inquire whether or not they are worthy. And I don't know who said that quote, is unknown. If you know, tell me, comment on the post I'm going to make for this episode, and let me know who said the quote. But I think that's extremely important. We don't judge or decide to act or help someone because we're not sure if they're worthy of love. We should love others as we love ourselves. And we should consider every human being on this planet worthy of that love. So we have to think that way when we see someone who is in need of help or in need of our service. We shouldn't just stand on the sidelines and do nothing because, again, that only makes the divide grow, and we don't want it to grow. We want to bridge the gap. So just keep all these things in mind. If anyone else had any information they think I should know or would help children, families, friends, teachers, whatever it may be, because I'm a teacher, I can always use advice about how to even diversify my classroom. We try to make sure that we do that as well, because we want to appreciate diversity in the classroom and make every student feel comfortable. So you can email me at icanspeaktoo podcast185@gmail.com. You can also email me if you just feel inclined to let me know that this episode really struck at your heartstrings and you just wanted to share how much you loved it. Or again, if you have some book recommendations for me to implement or talk about on the podcast or put in my own classroom for my children, I would love to know about all that. And I hope you guys just stay safe. Remember that we need to help others and serve others and love well, and to teach your children to do the same. I hope you guys enjoy this episode of the I Can Speak To podcast, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace.